Giacomo Turra. A while ago, the guitar players on the internet collectively lost their minds over the supposedly superhuman player. Clean, perfect, but also fake. Musicians were understandably furious, outraged, betrayed. But nobody in the Christian world wants to admit that while we condemn Giacomo, we've also been condoning Giacomo-fied live worship music for a long time. Music that you and I probably sing every single week. When the Giacomo news broke, the reaction was instant rage. Comments everywhere. This is fraud, this is lying to your audience, this is fake musicianship. To be fair, that reaction makes sense because the music that Giacomo was playing is supposed to feel like live performance. But the very worship albums we trust the most, the ones with thousands of people raising their hands, voices raised in unity, aren't actually live either. At least not in the way that you think. Just like Giacomo, the video and audio don't always happen at the same time. And this isn't a theory. I approve. The year is 2005. I was a university student in Sydney, Australia, the hometown of Hillsong Church. I was there for the live album recording God He Reigns. The song was What the World Will Never Take, and in it, Nigel Hendroff has a shred solo. I want you to hear the notes and see Nigel's hand positions at the climax of the solo. His notes go up, his hands go down. So what sorcery is this? It turns out that a lot of what we hear, the vocals, the instruments, they're recorded in post as overdubs, fixing specific sections or having entire tracks replaced. But don't just take it from me, hear it from professionals involved in live worship recordings who openly admit this.
Then we capture the song, which is basically recording the song. And then we fix all of our mistakes in the overdubbing process. Then we mix and master the song just as usual.
And something I didn't realize until later in my career is that live recordings really have a lot of studio elements that are added to them. Typically that's always vocal. I always say like, we'll probably redo vocal unless it was some magic take live. Sometimes it's like your voice is strained and you can't like sing those notes exactly how you want them to sound, or your voice might crack a little bit, or you might not reach that note. So it's like some of those things are just caught in post-production. A lot of times guitar lead lines, just so they're clean. But it just depends on the project. So not all projects require a ton of overdubs, but most of them do. Really, the live night, you want to capture the audience and the drums. That's really the essential parts. If you can get a great drum take and the audience singing along, everything else can be replaced fairly easily. Obviously, it's not ideal to have to go back and re-record everything, but at that point, really you can. I've had to go back sometimes and overdub everything. It's generally not spoken about. Like, people don't go and say, this is our live record, we did 90% of it in studio. But realistically, that's what you need to do to make it sound perfect.
And so a picture emerges. The basic drum tracks and crowd mics are captured to feel the room, while what you're hearing from the vocalist gripping the mic with raw emotion is actually re-sung in a professionally treated vocal booth a week later, with tuning, compression, and multiple takes stitched together. Same goes for the guitars, and the bass, and the keys, and everyone. Why is it done this way? Isn't that deceptive? No, this is production. And here's Graham from Recording Revolution to give us perspective as to why production is necessary.
I think there's a little bit of a misnomer that to get a great live recording, like what you hear on some of your favorite live records, that's just what's coming off the board. I'm gonna probably tell you 9 times out of 10, that's not just what's coming off the board. What you hear in a live recording, there is a lot of extra work that goes into making that recording sound the way it sounds. And if you've ever recorded yourself, even taking the direct feeds off your board or your console and then pulled it into a DAW and tried to balance it or mix it, you know what I'm talking about. It sounds small and pathetic.
I've never heard a sweeter voice. It made my aching heart rejoice. Oh, the love that sought me. Oh, the blood that bore me. I've never heard a sweeter voice. It made my aching heart rejoice. Oh, the love that sought me. Oh, the blood that bought me. Oh.
Let's be honest, this is what came off the board. Now, to be fair, in the room, in church, it actually sounded better. You've got the live energy of the room. That's why if you've ever recorded anything live and played it back directly what you got, you're like, dude, this sounds so tiny and small. And it doesn't have that energy that the room has. And so our job, if you're mixing or producing a live record, is to somehow recreate that excitement and punch and energy that the people felt in the room, in the venue on that day. So that when people listen to a recording with no visual, no excitement, no room, just on some earbuds, they sense that excitement. But a lot of that has to be fabricated.
Before we carry on, let me say up front that I don't know if everyone does post-production editing. This is based off what I know about the industry, as well as primary source material from Hillsong themselves, which we'll get to in a minute. Yes, they do talk about this too. I think where we find difficulty in accepting this industry standard is that live worship is supposed to sound like real worship, not like a record. But as we just heard, real worship can be pretty off-putting. Here's a true story. I was there when Brooke Liggett-Wood, then known as Brooke Fraser, first started serving on the Hillsong worship team. My best friend absolutely adores Brooke, both for her lyrical genius and vocal quality. I happened to be there for a creative arts night where they were introducing one of the songs to be recorded at that year's annual album recording. Yes, this was the time Hillsong was pumping out 2 albums a year, and Brooke was teaching the song. I recorded her vocal performance on my phone's voice memo and replayed it for my best friend. In that recording, Brooke was quite severely out of tune, maybe because they haven't quite figured out the right key for the song. He reached over and physically took the phone out of my hand. I thought he was going to throw it on the ground, but thankfully, he just wanted to turn it off. The illusion of perfection, it seems, had shattered. The goal of a live worship recording is achieving something that's supposed to feel cinematic, inspirational, musically excellent, spiritually immersive. And this is where we might have something in common with Giaco Turra, because those musical goals are the same. So why were we so angry at Giacomo? Because he didn't tell us he was faking it. The worship world is open about this. They don't whisper it. They put it on record.
It actually is quite amazing how much of the live material we're actually keeping. I'd like to tell you that it's all live, but there are some stuff that we've gone through and fixed up. The people that were actually there on the stage, we get them into the studio. They remember the night, they remember the power of the night. And we press the record button and they just go straight back to that place of fire in their hearts and passion in their hearts. And we record that and just make it sound a little better, you know.
What we're doing here is we're basically, from everything on the night, we're just trying to capture what happened on the night. And then somehow, you know, like just fix up all the little splats that might have occurred along the way. It's a good little clean-up operation, just making sure that what we've been given, you know, to be servants of, we just want to be really good stewards of. Peter is basically looking after me in the role of producer, of listening to make sure everything that we are cleaning up retains what we did on the night. Yeah, I was going to say, they'll probably tuck it away, because it's like, you know.
Often with the choir mics that we have, there's a lot of spill in there, so there'll be a lot of drums and sax, and so if we want to get clarity, we get them to sing the whole thing again, and then we mix what they did live on the night and what they do in the studio, and it actually gets a really nice sound.
They admit to retracking vocals. They admit to comping takes. They admit to swapping entire musical sections. The only difference? With Giacomo, the fakery was exposed as deception. With worship music, the editing is treated as excellence. So perhaps the real issue isn't our worship albums fake. The real issue is, what do we think live music is supposed to mean? Does live mean one take, zero edits, no mixing or tuning, no mistake? Or does live simply mean it happened in a room with people and the heart of that night is what you're hearing? Just polished. Because when you listen closely, the emotion is live. The moment is real. The energy is authentic. It's just edited. Giacomo pre-recorded to deliver something impossibly perfect. Worship albums polish reality for the same reason. One got cancelled, the other gets music sung on Sundays by thousands of people. The only difference is communication. Giacomo pretended it was raw skill. Our favorite worship bands tell you up front they're editing. And we, the listeners, accept it because what we actually want isn't accuracy. We want an experience. So next time you're listening to your favorite live worship record, remember, it may not be live in the technical sense, but it might be more honest in the emotional sense than you think. And if you've enjoyed conversational deep dives like these exploring the intersections of worship, music, and faith, check out the next video that will pop up after this. I have a whole playlist for you to go deeper into matters of worship ministry. See you there.